Welcome to the Chillness Room, episode 5. I was just sitting here and thinking of all the wonderful things in this life and taking a time out. And I was also thinking about my past as a teenager and going to theater class and that kind of thing. And I remember I got a giant book of William Shakespeare's plays, and I remember thinking to myself, I am so excited. I'm definitely going to read all of this. I did not, um, but it was so fun to me to have it with me. I carried it with me for decades, and it's not so much that I, you know, needed to read it, but it was more that having it felt comforting to me, right? And so I was watching some programs and I saw a bit of a program from the Graham Norton show where Dame Judi Dench, she was reciting a sonnet. It was a sonnet 29. And I'm going to read it to you. I will never be able to do it to the degree that she did, but you can certainly look that up. But I felt it was so connected to how I'm feeling, and then I'll tell you what it means. Okay. When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweeped my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. So, in storytelling and in this creative idea, there is something called a turn, where you're in one state, and then there's a turn, there's a moment of realization, and then you move into the next state. And so, what this one is saying essentially is that, and please, I'm no Shakespearean expert by any means, but just for us, the lay people that enjoy thinking deeply about things or considering things more deeply, what he's saying here is, I'm nothing. I'm worthless. I'm not like anyone else that has all the success and all these things that are so valued in this world. But when I think upon thee, when I think about the person or thing that I love, thee can be anything. Thee can be spirit, thee can be God, thee can be your loved one, thee can be even a part of yourself that is more in alignment with your good and all the good things that are meant for you. And happily I think on thee, and then my state, like the lark at break of day arising from the depths, the sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate, so exalted that there's no way it could be so sunk down into anything, because just my shift, just my change of focus helps me to realize that I wouldn't change my position with kings. I wouldn't change my circumstances for anything, for any reason, because of that love and connection that I have with this person or this situation or who I truly am is so intensely more valuable than anything of this earth. And that is so incredibly beautiful. I actually had to listen to it multiple times to get it clear in my mind what it really meant. And I love the wording. I know this is, I guess it is Old English, maybe. Um, but I love, I all alone beweep my outcast state. I love also that it kind of says the beginning at the end, right? Like I featured like him with friends possessed. So instead of saying he had a lot of friends, right? Like him with friends possessed. He possessed friends, right? I love that. I'm it's taking me um 27 years, okay, 37 years to be able to understand, this phraseology, right? This way, this poetry, because I actually started learning a little bit of Spanish, and sometimes some of the scriptures are after the words, and not to confuse you. The primary point is that I fell in love with this moment, and I really wanted to share this with you in the Chillness Room, so that maybe you consider that if there is something that you're wanting to curse your fate about, that you instead face your awareness to something more loving, more content, more hopeful, more possible, more gentle, maybe even a little bit easier. Even if you faced your mind to that place where you feel the frustration of not having the things. In fact, this is kind of um, the writer's way of expressing the experience of frustration of not having, and then shifting their point of view, taking the turn and saying, when I look upon thee, all is well. Not even just well. I wouldn't trade it for anything or anyone else's position that seems to be better than mine. So I wanted just to take this moment and express these feelings with you and be with you in it. And that if you are experiencing levels of frustration, of not enoughness, of worry, of doubt, of holding yourself back from your peace, that we all just take a moment, a nice breath, and think about that loving component, that gentle component, that knowing component of our lives, and focus all of our attention there. I know that the natural thing is to pull ourselves back into the heaviness or the negativity or the worrisome moment, and that's okay, and you get to go back into the good feeling loving place too, and you get to come back to the place that you don't like, and you get back to the place that you do like, and then you eventually are going to stay a lot longer in the place that feels good to you, more gentle to you, easier to you. It's going to naturally keep you in that better place, because we have to. Whatever we practice is what expands in our experience. So as you are expanding into this moment with me now, call on that loving thing, that thinking on thee, and let's take a moment of peace in that gentleness and that knowing. And I'm going to go ahead and redo the sonnet again, just so that we have it one more time. so that you might hear it a little bit differently this time. Sonnet 29 by William Shakespeare. When, in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweeped my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least, yet in these thoughts myself almost despising. Haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. I did a little bit better that time. A little practice goes a long way, doesn't it? So as you're practicing your good feeling moments, your movements into possibilities and potentialities, I applaud you on the turns that you make in this world. Because you can. And if you can feel better, why not? With deep love and gratitude for you, my friends, thank you for joining me in the Chillness Room, and I'll see you again soon.